The blood sample under Elena Morrison's microscope shouldn't exist. The cells are crystalline, moving with impossible coordination, carrying proteins that defy every law of biology she's ever learned. She adjusts the focus, certain she's made an error. But the evidence doesn't change. Sitting across from her in the sterile examination room of the Ashwood Institute, Adrian Castellane watches her with ancient eyes. His pulse, when she'd managed to find it, beats 30 times per minute. His body temperature registers at 89 degrees Fahrenheit. By every medical standard, he should be dead. Instead, he's been alive for 237 years. "You still think you can fix this?" Adrian says quietly. "It's not a question." Elena looks up from the microscope. "Everything has a mechanism. If I can understand how the vampiric pathogen restructures your cellular DNA." "You'll what?" "Reverse 2 centuries of transformation? Make me human again." Adrian's laugh is hollow. "Dr. Morrison, I didn't come here to be cured. I came here to die. I broke into your facility hoping the sunrise would find me too weak to escape. Instead, I found you." Elena's hands are steady as she prepares another vial for testing, but her mind is racing. 3 weeks ago, she found this man, this creature, collapsed in her laboratory storage room, bleeding from wounds that should have been fatal. Her medical training overrode her fear. She brought him to an examination bed, began treatment, took samples, and discovered that monsters are real. "The pathogen operates on a feedback loop," Elena says, her voice taking on the focused intensity she gets when solving puzzles. "It's integrated into every cell, yes, but the transformation is maintained by specific protein sequences. If I can isolate the primer sequence and introduce a competing protein." "Why?" Adrian interrupts. Elena looks at him, confused. "What do you mean, why?" "You're suffering. You've been suffering for over 200 years. You told me you've been trying to die since 1787. I can help you." "I didn't ask for help. I asked for death. There's a difference." "No," Elena says firmly. "There isn't. You're sick. This vampirism is a disease, a parasitic transformation that's taken over your biology. As a doctor, as a scientist, I can't just let that continue when there might be a way to reverse it." Adrian stands, moving to the window. Even his movements are wrong. Too fluid, too precise, the body memory of someone who's perfected every gesture across centuries. "You want to know what I was before this?" he asks, staring out at the pre-dawn darkness. "I was a physician. Edinburgh Medical School. Graduated 1785. I wanted to save lives. I practiced in London for 2 years. And then, in an alley after treating a patient, something found me, attacked me, drained me. And when I woke 3 days later, I was this." Elena moves closer, her scientific detachment cracking. "Then you understand. You were violated, transformed into something you never chose to be. Let me give you back what was taken." Adrian turns to face her. In the laboratory lights, she can see the inhuman beauty of him. The 2 perfect features, the predatory grace, the eyes that have witnessed the rise and fall of empires. "What if I don't want it back?" The question hangs in the air between them. "You said you wanted to die," Elena says carefully. "I said I've been trying to die. That's not the same as wanting to return to what I was." Adrian's voice drops. "I remember being human, Dr. Morrison. I remember being weak, vulnerable, afraid of the dark and of time running out. I remember feeling my body age, knowing I had perhaps 60 years if I was lucky, watching people die of diseases I couldn't cure because I didn't have enough time to learn. Being human is beautiful, yes, but it's also terrifying. And I'm not sure I want that terror back." Elena feels something shift in her understanding. "Then why break into my laboratory? Why expose yourself to sunrise?" "Because immortality without purpose is its own kind of death," Adrian says. "I can't practice medicine anymore. Every patient becomes prey in my mind. I can't form lasting connections. Everyone I love dies while I continue. I've spent 237 years trying to find a reason to continue, and I've failed." So yes, I wanted to die. But not because I hate what I am. Because being what I am has become unbearable loneliness. Elena watches him, and something dangerous begins to take root in her mind. An idea. Possibility. A solution that has nothing to do with curing disease and everything to do with something far more complex. What if you didn't have to be alone? She asks quietly. Adrian goes very still. When he speaks, his voice is careful. What are you suggesting? You're lonely because you're immortal in a mortal world. Because everyone you know ages and dies. Because you can't share your existence with anyone who truly understands it. Elena's heart is pounding now, her scientist's mind already racing through possibilities. But what if that changed? What if you weren't alone? You want me to turn someone, Adrian says flatly. Create another vampire. Damn someone else to this existence. I want to understand the transformation process, Elena corrects. If vampirism can be transmitted, it can be studied. And if it can be studied, it can be controlled. Refined. Made into something chosen rather than inflicted. You're talking about making vampirism deliberate. Consensual. I'm talking about treating it as a medical procedure rather than a curse. Elena's excitement is building. Think about it, Adrian. What if people could choose immortality? What if terminal patients could opt for transformation instead of death? What if? What if you could become immortal yourself? Adrian finishes, his eyes locked on hers. That's what this is really about, isn't it? You don't want to cure me. You want to join me. Elena's breath catches. She hadn't meant to reveal that. Hadn't meant to admit, even to herself, that over these 3 weeks of late-night research sessions and long conversations, she's been thinking about it. About what it would mean to have centuries instead of decades. To never worry about time running out. To continue her research forever. I'm a scientist, she says, deflecting. I'm interested in all possibilities. You're a liar, Adrian says, but not unkindly. He crosses the space between them in 2 steps, standing close enough that she can feel the unnatural coolness radiating from his skin. You've been researching my condition for weeks. Taking samples. Running tests. And every day you work on finding a cure, I see you hesitating. See you looking at the data and wondering. See you calculating what you could accomplish with unlimited time. That's not Elena. He says her name for the first time, and it sounds like a prayer and a warning. I've lived long enough to recognize desire when I see it. You want what I have. The question is whether you understand the price. Elena meets his eyes, and there's no point in lying anymore. Tell me the price. Adrian's expression is complex. Part longing, part fear, part something that might be hope. The hunger never truly fades. You learn to control it, to manage it, but it's always there. A constant awareness of blood, of heartbeats, of the fragility of every human around you. You'll need to feed. Blood banks, animal blood, it sustains, but it's never satisfying. You'll always be slightly hungry. Always aware that you're predator among prey. I can handle that, Elena says. You'll watch everyone you know age and die. Your family, your friends, your colleagues. Everyone you love will become temporary. You'll attend funerals of people you care about, knowing you'll attend many more. Grief becomes your constant companion. I'm prepared for that. You'll never feel warm again. Never sleep. Never taste food properly. Never see the sunrise without pain. Never walk into a room without calculating exits. Never fully trust your own instincts because your instincts will be to hunt. Adrian's voice is intense now, urgent. You'll become something other than human. Something that looks human, sounds human, remembers being human, but isn't. Not anymore. Not ever again. But I'll have time, Elena whispers. Time to find cures for diseases. Time to perfect my research. Time to save lives in ways a mortal doctor never could. Time to not be limited by a human lifespan. Time to be with me, Adrian adds softly. That's part of this calculation too, isn't it? Elena doesn't answer immediately. Can't answer immediately. Because he's right. Over 3 weeks, something has grown between them, a connection forged in late-night conversations and shared isolation. He understands what it means to be brilliant and alone. She understands what it means to be driven and misunderstood. They've found in each other something neither expected: recognition. Yes, she finally admits. That's part of it. I don't want to watch you leave. Don't want to cure you and lose you. Don't want to be the human you'll have to grieve when I die in 40 years. I want eternity, Adrian finishes. You want forever. Is that wrong? Adrian cups her face in his cold hands. It's human. Desperately, beautifully human. You're mortal, and mortality makes you want to grasp at immortality. I understand that. But Elena, once it's done, it can't be undone. I could turn you tonight. One bite, one exchange of blood, and 3 days later you'd wake up as I am. But you'd never be human again. Never be mortal again. Never have the chance to change your mind. Then make me certain, Elena says. Tell me everything. Show me everything. Let me understand completely what I'd be choosing. Adrian's thumb brushes her cheek. And if you still want it after knowing everything, then I'll ask you to turn me. And we'll have eternity to continue this research together. And if you decide against it? Elena's voice is steady. Then I'll cure you, make you human, and we'll grow old together in the traditional way. The silence stretches between them. Two people standing at a crossroads, both offering to fundamentally change for the other. Both terrified of losing each other. This is insane, Adrian says finally. Probably, Elena agrees. We're talking about completely transforming one of us. Yes. Based on 3 weeks of knowing each other. 3 weeks of understanding each other, Elena corrects. I've felt more connection with you in 3 weeks than I have with anyone in years. That has to mean something. Adrian closes his eyes. It means we're both lonely enough to be dangerous. It means we're both desperate enough to make terrible decisions. It means we're both smart enough to justify those decisions with logic. Or, Elena says, it means we've found something rare, something worth fighting for, worth changing for. When Adrian opens his eyes, they're the color of dark amber shot through with red. Fully vampire now, the human mask dropped. I'll show you everything, he says. Every aspect of vampire existence. The good, the terrible, the unbearable. I'll show you what you'd be choosing. And then, when you have complete information, I'll do whatever you decide. If you want to be turned, I'll turn you. If you want me cured, I'll take your cure. You'd become human for me? Elena asks. If that's what you need me to be, yes. I've been alone for 237 years. I don't want to be alone anymore. And if becoming mortal again means having a lifetime with you, a real lifetime, with aging and children and normal human experiences, then I'll accept that. Even though it terrifies you. Especially because it terrifies me. Love is supposed to be terrifying. Worth the fear. Elena takes his cold hands in her warm ones. Then we have an agreement. You show me your world. I'll show you my research. And at the end, we decide together who changes. This is still insane, Adrian repeats. Most great experiments are, Elena says with a small smile. And so begins the strangest courtship in medical history. A vampire teaching a human about immortality. A scientist teaching a creature about the cutting edge of genetic research. Two people falling in love while simultaneously planning which one will fundamentally transform for the other. The war isn't about whether to cure or transform. The war is about whether love means accepting someone as they are, or becoming what they need you to be. And neither of them knows which side will win. 6 weeks later, Adrian keeps his promise. He shows Elena everything. He takes her hunting, not for humans, never humans, but for deer in the forests outside Boston. She watches him move with inhuman speed, watches the predatory grace, watches him feed. It should disgust her. Instead, she finds herself analyzing the efficiency of the kill, the minimal suffering, the practical necessity of it. He shows her the vampire community, a hidden network of immortals living in cities around the world. Some are centuries old, some newly turned. Some maintain strict ethical codes. Others are monsters in truth as well as name. Elena meets vampires who are artists, scholars, philanthropists. And she meets vampires who view humans as cattle. We're not all noble, Adrian tells her. We're not all monsters. We're individuals, same as humans. Immortality doesn't make us good or evil. It just gives us more time to become whatever we choose to be. He shows her the loneliness. Takes her to graveyards where he visits the graves of people he loved. His wife from his human life, dead in 1790. A best friend, dead in 1856. A lover, dead in 1923. Students he mentored. Colleagues he knew. Family members who never understood why he never aged. This is what you're signing up for, Adrian says as they stand in the snow-covered cemetery. A lifetime of goodbyes. Of loving people and losing them. Of being the constant while everything else changes. He shows her the restrictions. The pain of sunlight, even filtered through windows. The need to avoid religious symbols, not because of faith, but because of how the vampiric pathogen responds to certain silver compounds used in blessings. The difficulty of maintaining human relationships when you don't eat, don't sleep, don't age. You'd have to leave your family eventually, Adrian says. People notice when you don't age. After 10, maybe 15 years, you'd have to fake your death or simply disappear. Start over somewhere new. Do it again every few decades. Forever. And he shows her the beauty. The ability to learn languages over decades, to truly master them, to witness history rather than just read about it, to perfect skills across centuries, to see patterns in human behavior that only become clear with temporal distance. You could revolutionize medicine, Adrian tells her. With centuries to work, to test, to refine. You could save millions of lives. Find cures for diseases that haven't even been discovered yet. That's not nothing, Elena. That's purpose. Meanwhile, Elena shows him her research. The cure is progressing. She's isolated the specific protein sequences that maintain vampiric transformation. She's developed a compound that could potentially strip those proteins from cells, allow human DNA to reassert itself. It's incomplete, but promising. If this works, Elena explains, showing him the complex molecular diagrams, you'd gradually revert to human biology. It would take several months. Your cells don't all divide at the same rate, but eventually you'd be fully mortal again. Human heart rate, human temperature, human vulnerabilities. Human death, Adrian adds. Eventually, yes. But human life first. Sunlight, food, sleep. The ability to practice medicine again without seeing every patient as prey. The ability to have children, if you wanted. To experience normal human connection. She shows him projections of what his life could be. Statistical models of mortal existence. Expected lifespan with modern medicine. Probability curves of various diseases. The cold mathematics of human fragility. You'd have maybe 40 or 50 years, Elena says. We both would. We could grow old together. Experience the full human life cycle. Die natural deaths. Together, Adrian repeats softly. That's the key word for you, isn't it? You don't want to be immortal alone, and you don't want to be mortal alone. You want us to be the same. Elena meets his eyes. Yes, I want us to match. Either both immortal or both mortal. I can't bear the idea of one of us staying while the other leaves. But someone has to change, Adrian says. Either you become like me, or I become like you. There's no middle ground between vampire and human. I know. So we're back to the same war. Who surrenders their nature for the other? Maybe surrender isn't the right word, Elena says slowly. Maybe it's choice. You choose mortality and we live a full human life together. Or I choose immortality and we have eternity. Either way, we choose together. Adrian studies her face. You still haven't decided, have you? After 6 weeks of seeing everything, you still don't know which you want. Elena shakes her head. I see the beauty in both. The terror in both. I see what we could have as mortals. Intensity, humanity, normal connections. And I see what we could have as immortals. Time, purpose, the ability to make a real difference across centuries. Both options are compelling. Both options are frightening. How do I choose? Maybe, Adrian says carefully, the question isn't which option is better. Maybe the question is which loss you can live with. What do you mean? If you stay human, you lose time. You lose the possibility of centuries. You lose the ability to perfect your research across lifetimes. But you keep your humanity, your warmth, your ability to eat, sleep, have children, experience mortal pleasures. Can you live with losing the time? Elena thinks about that. About all the research she'll never complete in a human lifespan. All the diseases she won't cure. All the patients she won't save. And if I become vampire, she asks, you lose your humanity, your warmth, your mortal experience, your family and friends as they are now. But you gain time. Endless time to work, to learn, to perfect everything you've ever wanted to achieve. Can you live with losing your humanity? Elena closes her eyes. What can you live with losing? I've already lost most of my humanity, Adrian says. After 237 years, I barely remember what it felt like to be fully human. But I remember the freedom. The ability to walk in daylight, to taste food, to sleep, to be part of the normal human world. If I become mortal again, I lose my power, my invulnerability, my time. But I gain normalcy, the chance to be just a man again, even if only for a few decades. You want to be human, Elena realizes. I want to be whatever means I get to be with you, Adrian corrects. But yes, if I'm being completely honest, I think I want to be human again, to experience normal life, to die eventually. After 2 centuries of unchanging existence, the idea of mortality sounds like freedom. Elena's heart pounds. Then I should stay human too. We become mortals together. Except you don't want that, Adrian says gently. I can see it in your eyes. You want time. You want immortality. You're just afraid to admit it because it means asking me to stay vampire, to give up what I want. This is impossible, Elena whispers. We both want the opposite thing. No, Adrian says. We both want to be together. That's the only thing we agree on. But we each want different versions of together. I want mortal years, intense and brief. You want immortal centuries, endless and eternal. And we can't have both. Elena feels tears on her cheeks. So what do we do? Adrian pulls her close, his cold body against her warm one, the physical manifestation of their difference. We decide which of us loves the other more. That's not fair. No, Adrian agrees. But it's honest. One of us has to love the other enough to give up what we want. Either I stay vampire and give you immortality, accepting that I'll remain what I don't want to be. Or you stay human and I take your cure, accepting that I'll lose my power and eventually die. Either way, one of us sacrifices everything. I hate this, Elena says into his chest. So do I. They stand like that for a long time, 2 people who love each other desperately, both facing an impossible choice. Finally, Elena pulls back. I need time. Real time. To think about this without you here influencing my decision. Adrian nods. How long? A week. Give me 1 week alone with my thoughts. Then we'll decide together. And if we still can't agree? Elena takes a shaky breath. Then we walk away from each other. Because staying together while wanting opposite things will destroy us both. Adrian's face is stricken. You'd leave me. Only if the alternative is forcing one of us to be miserable forever. Yes. I love you too much to damn you to unwanted immortality. And I respect myself too much to give up my dreams out of guilt. This is cruel, Adrian says. This is honest, Elena corrects, throwing his words back at him. 1 week. Then we choose. He leaves her alone in the laboratory, disappearing into the pre-dawn darkness. And Elena is left with the most important decision of her life. Mortality or immortality. Human or vampire. Time or humanity. The war between them has reached its final battle. And only one side can win. Day 7. Elena hasn't slept in 3 days. She's run every calculation, considered every angle, examined every possible future. The mathematics are clear. As an immortal, she could save millions of lives across centuries. As a mortal, she'll save thousands at best. The ethics are murky. Choosing immortality means accepting predation as part of her nature. Choosing mortality means accepting limits, accepting death. The heart is confused. She loves Adrian, wants to be with him. But which version of being together is worth the sacrifice? At 11:47 p.m., exactly 7 days after she asked for time, Adrian appears at her laboratory door. He looks haggard, which should be impossible for a vampire. But sorrow transcends biology. Did you decide? He asks. Elena stands from her desk. Did you? I asked first. You're older. Age before beauty. Adrian laughs, the sound broken. Even now, you're deflecting. Because I'm terrified, Elena admits. Whatever I choose, one of us loses everything. Adrian crosses the room, taking her hands. Then let me make it easier. I'll take the cure. Elena's eyes widen. What? I've spent this week thinking about what I want versus what you need. And I realized something. I've had 237 years of immortal existence. I've experienced it fully. But you've never had the chance to experience it at all. It would be selfish of me to deny you that opportunity. That's not. Let me finish, Adrian says firmly. You're brilliant, driven, capable of incredible things if given enough time. As a mortal, you're limited by biology. As an immortal, you'd be limited only by your imagination. That's too valuable to waste. So I'll become human. I'll take your cure. I'll give you decades of partnership, and then I'll die like humans do. And you can continue after, doing the work you were meant to do. No, Elena says. Adrian blinks. No. No, I won't accept that. You'd be miserable. You'd take the cure out of self-sacrifice, not genuine desire. And then you'd spend your mortal years resenting me for it. Resenting the loss of your power. Resenting your vulnerability. I won't do that to you. Then what do you want? Adrian asks desperately. I want you to stay vampire, Elena says. And I want to stay human. The words fall like stones. That's not an option, Adrian says carefully. We discussed this. We decided we both wanted to match. We were wrong, Elena says. We don't need to match. We need to accept each other as we are. You'd age, die, leave me alone again. In 40 or 50 years, yes. And you'd be mortal, vulnerable, unable to continue your research indefinitely. I'll do what I can with the time I have. Make it count. This is the worst possible option, Adrian says, his voice breaking. This means we both lose. I lose you eventually. You lose immortality. We gain nothing but a few decades together. We gain love, Elena corrects. Without conditions. Without transformations. Without one of us being something we don't want to be. Yes, it's limited. Yes, it's sad. But it's real. Genuine. Not built on sacrifice or resentment. Adrian pulls away from her, pacing the laboratory like a caged animal. You're choosing death. I'm choosing life. My life as it is. With you in it, as you are. I'll have to watch you die. Yes. And then continue without you. Yes. That's cruel. That's love, Elena says softly. The real kind. The kind that accepts limits. Accepts endings. Accepts that not everything can be fixed or transformed. Sometimes love means letting someone stay exactly who they are, even when it hurts. Adrian stops pacing, his back to her. When he speaks, his voice is thick with emotion. I wanted to give you forever. And I wanted to give you humanity, Elena replies. But what we actually need to give each other is acceptance. The silence stretches. Finally, Adrian turns. His face is wet. Vampires can cry, she's learned, even if they can't cry often. So we stay as we are, he says. Vampire and human. Immortal and mortal. Yes. And we accept that our time is limited. Yes. And when you die, I continue. Alone. Not alone, Elena says firmly. With my memory. With the work we'll do together. With whatever legacy we build. That's not nothing, Adrian. He crosses the room in 2 strides, pulling her into his arms. It feels like nothing compared to forever. Forever isn't real anyway, Elena whispers. Nothing lasts forever. Not even immortal things. Even vampires can be killed. Even civilizations end. Forever is just a comforting lie we tell ourselves. What's real is now. This moment. You and me, exactly as we are. Adrian holds her tighter. I love you. I love you too. This is still insane. Probably. We could have had eternity. We have something better, Elena says. We have honesty. And so the war ends. Not with cure or transformation. Not with one side winning and the other losing. But with acceptance. 2 people choosing to love each other exactly as they are, knowing it won't last forever, treasuring it anyway. The research continues. Elena never completes the cure. Without Adrian willing to take it, there's no point. But she uses her research to help others. Vampires who want to become human find her work invaluable. She becomes a consultant, a bridge between vampire and human medical communities. Adrian stays vampire. Elena stays human. They have 33 years together before her heart finally gives out. He holds her hand at the end. Doesn't turn her. Doesn't try to save her. Honors her choice to die human. And then he continues. Because that's what immortality means. You continue. 200 years later, Adrian is still alive. Still carrying Elena's memory. Still doing the work they started together. He's never loved anyone else. Never wanted to. Because some loves don't need forever to matter. Some loves just need to be real. And that war, the war between transformation and acceptance, ended with both sides winning what they never knew they needed. Permission to be exactly who they were. Together. For as long as they had.